Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and welcome to NerdTube. And it's time to talk about the season one finale of Quantum Leap, episode 18. Dun, 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 dun. Judgment Day. And you know what? There was definitely some Terminator vibes going on with this particular episode. And let me introduce you first of all to Gare, who's my co-host for today, and somebody who's been watching Quantum Leap with me for a while now. How did you find this episode, Gary?
I was a little bit trepidatious because I didn't know how they're going to end it, but I've got to say, it was the perfect end. I'm not going to say it was a perfect episode, but it was a perfect end because, um, you had Leaper X in it. We didn't know who Leaper X was going to be. And then we found out it would be. It was like really short. So it had twists and turns, and plus it like entered into the relationship he had with Addison, how their relationship kind of develops and stuff like that. I mean, I'm sure I was really happy, and the fact is, I left this episode with a massive smile on my face. So this is going to get very high marks for myself. I don't know about yourself.
I had to, you know what? I was a bit. First of all, I was a little bit confused regarding the glue that made this episode what it is. Like sometimes with 18 episodes and so much, you would think you would have enough material there to make sense of this particular finale. But I thought some of the stuff didn't necessarily work at first. But watching it a second time, taking notes, it made a lot more sense. I wasn't necessarily a big fan of the very, very end of the episode, and I will want to speculate on that in a minute or a few minutes. Um, but nevertheless, it was a very interesting episode in the direction they went with Ben basically into himself 5 years into the past and and everything happening at Quantum Leap headquarters. I thought that was quite a unique perspective of doing things. So,
Sorry.
we have Daniel Vance here
Hey, Daniel.
saying, I felt on the opposite side of the spectrum from Gary regards to this episode. Please
Oh,
expand on that particular comment. Um,
I think he's
I
rather negative to my rather positive about it. I think he's trying to say.
well, okay, so what's
Vance. I'm gonna portray here why I feel so positive about it. So, feel free to disagree with the things I'm about to say. So,
well, I just want to say that I was probably in Vance's group watching the episode the first time, but the second time I did appreciate the episode more because I was able to fucking understand all this time travel jargon, which can be very confusing because we did actually begin this episode in the future. So are you ready for some breakdown and play by play? And
absolutely.
interrupt me when you want and ask me bring up some stuff that you find relevant. So Ben has arrived in post-apocalypse Los Angeles in the year 2051, and he's met by a very elderly Ian. Now Ben is in the body of somebody else, um, so Ian's not necessarily alone, but he has to occupy this other body. But the body is being because for some reason Ben's in the future. He's kind of being rejected, and his body's trying to force him back in time. You got something to add, Bossman?
I thought it was really interesting that they did that. He's having to like fight this thing, and like Ian's like going right. We've got to move quickly, and I like that. I like the fact that there's this urgency to him being the future. It's not just oh, you can be future as number one. There's always like you got to get this particular thing down. And I like that. I like the fact that there is that aspect to the time travel part of this that is incorporated. Because I think that's something that hasn't really been incorporated, but now it is. So it's good to see the fact that not only has it moved going into the future, but it can only be there for a limited time. And that's what I particularly like about this episode. That that aspect is brought in.
Apparently, future Ian has a tattoo of what looks like a flux capacitor on
I,
their
I think
neck.
I think that was a
And
reducer star.
well,
Reducer man.
but then again, the actor who plays Ian has loads of tats anyway. Anyway, um, so sorry, not Ian. Ben's body tried to go back into the past. Ben's trying to fight it. Ian basically tells Ben. I mean, There's no real watching it a second time. There was no real explanation to why the fucking world has been destroyed. You know,
There
like
is.
that was not explained.
But it's because people. It's because people. It's basically the what's it, the thing of payback, where the people found out about the quantum leap of accelerator,
Yeah,
and people.
but nukes, like nukes, like seriously, like what, you nuking LA, because I watched watching this a second time, boss man. Um, it says basically Ian tells Ben about the government believing that all the current world problems were to do with the quantum leap accelerator. I mean, they basically use that as a reason. They use that as for the blame game, which is why they set Martinez back to stop things. But that doesn't necessarily explain. I mean, that's what they did. They set Martinez back to stop the thing from ever beginning in the first place, and it doesn't necessarily explain why the world has become a fucking a nuclear post-apocalypse. Because
Well,
Martinez's job was only to go back in time to stop the QL from beginning.
so I think what it is that that people found out about it, like other nations, and because it's such a power. When you think about it, I mean, if you could go back in time to any period, you could like destabilize governments if you wanted, if you waited for the right person.
There is a good point. Ben leapt into Ben and called that one casual loop paradox. It kind of reminded me of that time
Sam
when
left it in Sam.
or no, more like Logan leapt into Logan, Wolverine leapt into Wolverine in Days of Future
It's
Past.
Davey Pratt. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
But Sam left into himself in the original series. Advance.
at the end, yeah.
No, he did it before that.
But he did.
Yes.
I can't remember the episode.
There's one where he went to went back in time to his family like in 1958 or something like that. I can't remember the exact date.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So so Ian basically has created a code that will help resolve things. If Ben gives it to Ian in the past, so Ben has to basically give this code to Ian in the past, and also have to stop Martinez. I'm so on the edge of my seat that I might have to tuck my dick between my legs and go Buffalo Bill on you, motherfuckers. Please do. You need to watch this episode, dude. It is really good. Actually, you need to watch this series. It's getting a lot of shit from a lot of people, but I think that the heart of Quantum Leap is definitely in the show, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I can't wait to mark it later. It's going to get good marks. Crypto GS, welcome. Ian says government blame Quantum Leap because the changes they made. Yeah, the government did blame Quantum Leap for those changes, but there was no explanation to the nuclear apocalypse. That was the only thing.
I
You
tried to
watch
watch it.
this.
It's shit.
No, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. So
No,
help me, General Zod.
it's a great show for Ginger. Even I gave it
It's the best
negative.
thing ever.
So
It's the best
it's a
thing
real
ever,
good. It's a real
Ginger.
good show.
Yeah. All right.
Excuse me.
It led to all the mess they were in, but but there was no explanation of what made somebody push a button to nuke Los Angeles.
I mean,
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I love that puzzle that he gives him the sort of puzzle and the thing he says, you know, we've got to do this together. You know, we've got to do this together and stuff like that. And I thought that was a sweet clue. And when you find out what that means out of the end, it's like, oh, that's really cool. That's actually really cool to hear about. So
Yep.
And then how like it
Anyway.
wasn't the one in the present, but it was one in the past. I was like, it's like, does that show you maybe that the one in the past is smarter than the one in the present? I don't know. That's some questions that you have to think about.
And we've got Daniel Vance saying cheers, Ginger, cheers, Crypto. So Ben, because his body is constantly trying to make him leap, eventually he can't stop it, and he starts leaping, and he hasn't got necessarily all the information he wants to get off Ian. He's had to memorize all that shit. Trust me, I couldn't memorize fucking 1% of that shit, but nevertheless, he's done that. He's memorized the code. His body leaps, and then Ben finds himself in his own body, but in the year 2018. So 5 years or 4 years in this particular case, because Ben started leaping in 2022. 4 years before the Quantum Leap Accelerator project began. Ben quickly jots down the code that he memorized in the book, and he's met by Hollow Addison. And Hollow Addison looks at that code and gives it to Ian, present day Ian, who can't understand it, even though his future self wrote it. Ben cannot afford to alter the timeline either. Now he's in his own particular timeline, so he can't make too many changes because it could make drastic things could happen, because he is at a stage in the timeline when him and Addison are not a couple. So if
The
you
man's
make
got
too many
first date.
changes, sorry.
What's to go on their first date?
Yeah, they're about to go on their first date. Let me just read a couple of comments here. Ian's equation extended said, Ian's equation said extended Minkowski. This is the refers to Hermann Minkowski, a student of Einstein. He viewed time as a fourth dimension. His equation gave rise to the concept of the FTL and subspace. Okay,
Faster than light.
I think they didn't want to get into details because of us in the US today. We could see how the government would nuke our own soil. Fair enough. Yeah. Henceforth, I mean, like I said, there was a lot of Terminator vibes in this, which I will get to.
I love that. By the way, I love all the
so many Terminator vibes.
I love that. I love the Terminator vibes in this. By the way, I mean that's one of the things.
The episode is called. This episode is called Judgment Day. Yeah, anyway, henceforth, space by itself and time by itself are doomed to fade away into mere shadows, and only a kind of union of two will preserve an independent reality. Herman Minkowski, 1908. This guy was a student of Einstein.
By the way, I love it when he goes back into his body and he looks at it, and then he comes to meet Addison, and like they I think this is their first date, as I was saying a minute ago, and then there's kind of like sexual tension there, and he's like, and you can tell that he he feels the feelings of 22 Ben and not 2018 Ben, because I mean maybe the feelings were different. Or we're still we'll kind of blustering, you know what I mean? So
there was an attraction, that's for sure. But Ben is told not to change the timeline, or him and Addison might not fall in love. It could cause a paradox because he is dealing with people within Quantum Leap right now, and so as they are time travelers themselves, changing the timeline amongst themselves could have serious consequences.
Mm-hmm.
So Ben has his first date with Addison, and Hollow Addison is also there. It's really funny seeing both of them on the date. But she's basically trying to give Ben some pointers and make sure he doesn't change the timeline. However, Hollow Addison tells Ben that Martinez is on his way, and Ben decides to end the date, changing time now, and he informs present-day Addison that he is from the future, and another man from the future wants to kill her. So basically, Addison is Sarah Connor, Ben is Carl Reese, and Martinez is the fucking Terminator.
I love that. I love that. I love that. But the thing is that present day Addison probably did the right thing. That like somebody that you know is going a little bit weird, they would.
But she also knows. About the Quantum Leap project because she was the person who was supposed to. She was the person who was supposed to leap in the first place. So yeah, you suck on that drink, my son. Yeah, so she was the person to leap in the first place. So she's very aware about time travel, but it's still a bit bizarre for her, nevertheless. So because the Quantum Leap team are able to see into the past and they're seeing all of this shit happening, they're wondering what's going to happen to them because they're seeing their potential present day change because of what's happening, what Ben is doing in the past. Nevertheless, Ben informs Addison to go home and be armed, and Ben heads to Quantum Leap headquarters to stop Martinez. But because Addison was already in the car, she gets ahead of him, and she's got her gun out, and she tries to stop Ben. She realizes that Ben is also talking to a hologram, and when Ben tells Addison that the hologram is her, Addison is perplexed by this because she's supposed to be the leaper, not the hologram.
Mhm.
So, nevertheless, Ben tries to disarm Addison. She ends up shooting a fire extinguisher, which creates a distraction, and Ben's able to get away. Let's read some comments here. Um, Daniel Vance says, Ian says that Ben could erase him from existence, to which Janice agrees Ben could only change things from his current time forward, and Ian was already working at Quantum Leap. Dubious. Magic again says that the entire fabric of the universe is at stake. The universe is changed with every leap. They've done nothing new here they've not done before. Yeah, I agree. Because they actually mentioned how they also noticed time was changing around them. I mean, sometimes they only notice things through fucking newspaper articles. Yeah, that was a bit weird. Martinez is more like Carl Reese, which wants to prevent everything from happening. Ben wants to keep it. Yeah, yeah. No, there are moments where Martinez is Carl Reese. I agree with you, but Martinez is also the person who wants to kill Addison. You know, whilst Ben is trying to save her. I mean, Martinez we end up finding him wants to kill more than just Addison. Anyway.
Yeah, and plus, I mean, seriously, like, I mean, this is the first one. This is the first episode, maybe apart from the Psych Ward episode, where I really got the threat of Martinez, like how much of a badass he was. Because
Well,
my God,
Martinez he seems to be very lucky in who he leaps into because Ben confronts Martinez. He finally meets up with him, but Martinez has leapt into magic.
yeah, and
Yeah, and everyone else.
I don't think that's luck. I think that was on purpose because the thing is, he's the one person who has access to everything, has probably like top class clearance.
No, yeah, but
can
how?
get
Yeah,
into
but
all the
how do you
secrets.
choose? How do you choose who do you leap in? Like Ben never got to choose. How does Martinez choose? You
Uh,
know?
well, the thing is that well, the destiny to leap is like right. I'm going to choose myself to be magic because that's because Ben did get to choose who he got to leap into because he got to choose to leap into himself. Did you
No,
say
but he
that at the
never
start of
knew
the
he was
episode?
going.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, no, but all these people he's leapt in prior to that, he's never chosen them.
No,
You
but
know?
he did get to choose who the last one was.
No, he had a course he was plotting. You know, but I mean, yeah, I mean, I know what you're getting at. I genuinely know what you're getting at. But those are time periods. He's not necessarily who
No.
chose.
I agree with you, but the other ones. But I'm saying like with this one,
Yeah,
they literally say at the start of the episode he wanted to choose somebody that he knew that Addison would trust, so therefore he listened to himself.
fair enough. Like he said, Martinez is from the 2040s, so Quantum Leap project is different. Yeah, yeah, I agree with you there too. Ben, Ben confronts Martinez, who's leapt in the body of magic. Now, everyone else from the Quantum Leap team also comes along, and we have this sort of weird standoff. And Ben is trying to convince them all that Martinez is in the body of magic. Now, unfortunately for Ben, because he's still suffering from memory loss, and when everyone else in the team starts asking Ben questions about themselves, Ben can't remember everything,
Mm-hmm.
and he and because he can't remember shit about them. He ends up getting thrown in jail, like a sort of glass wall jail.
The
And
one that Magneto gets thrown into at the end of Flame X Men.
yeah, I'm thinking that too. Now, for some reason, I don't know why hologram Jennifer was not with him at that moment to help him out. You know, because she just left. She took over from Addison and just let him run up the stairs on his own and not help him. Like you're a fucking hologram. You could be anywhere you want with him because once Ben gets thrown in jail, this time Magic gets tagged in and he's now in the fucking Hollow Matrix thing for the first time, and basically tells Ben, sings about himself, tells him that he has a pen in the inside of his jacket and he has to write the words "turtle time" on the window.
That's actually a good point, Fats. Why does he enter the cell?
Well, he enters the cell to tell Ben, about himself because magic is now being taken over by Martinez, the past magic that is, and because of that, he knows himself best, so he tells he tells Ben, "Look, I always carry a pen on my inside breast pocket. So when you get an opportunity, I want you to grab that pen and write turtle time on the window." So Martinez does end up having a chat with Ben. Um, the whole place is sound secure, so people who are watching the conversation between the two have no idea what they're saying. And Martinez basically knows that there's a problem with the quantum leap project, that killing Addison won't stop anything. Killing only one of them, whoever it may be, Magic, Jennifer, Ian, Addison, Ben even, it won't matter because the rest of the group will keep the project going.
Mhm.
Yeah, so he realized. Martinez basically tells Ben, "I'm gonna kill it. I'm gonna kill them all," which is fucked up. And this gives Ben the excuse to have a pretend fight with Martinez just so he can pickpocket the pen out of his chest. Did Ben ever learn how to be a pickpocket by any chance? I can't
No,
remember.
no.
So how did he get that skill then against a trained
He
assassin?
probably, he probably because he knew that he had it and the guy didn't. I think if he'd been aware of it, he probably would have been more aware to protect it. You know what I mean?
And this is like the Carl Reese moment, which I'll agree with Crypto, is that Martinez knows this is a one-way project. He doesn't expect to go back. He knows he's going to be stuck wherever the project ends. He's going to be stuck there, and he's fine with that, because he's a patriot, I guess.
Mhm.
Daniel Vance says, "Why does Martinez enter the cell with Ben? It's a cell. It has holes in the door." Yeah, yeah, that's what I also thought. I thought, how can this fucking cell be soundproof when there's fucking holes in the fucking wall? Like breathing holes for fuck's sake. It's like a fucking giant mouse trap. Yeah. Anyway, where am I? So Ben pretends to fight with Martinez, picks his pocket for the pen, and then he writes down turtle time on the window. This is something which was advised to him by hologram magic. And Jennifer realizes that this is her password, and only somebody from the future would know about this. Oops. Um, Gary is gone. Gary will be back in a minute because this tends to be a regular occurrence for Gary. He has to lag out at some point during one of our streams. So he'll be back in a second. So before writing turtle time on the window, the Quantum Leap gang realizes, yes, this is the real Ben. This is not somebody impersonating him. This is not some other time traveler from the future inside Ben pretending to be Ben. This is actually Ben. Um, you're not on the screen, Gary. Let's try this again. Oh, he's having internet issues. He's having internet issues. He just leapt. um, it was the beginning of the project. They were. Oh, you're back, and he's gone again. It was the beginning of the project. They were getting all up, getting all set up. Still, certain weren't up and running. Okie dokes. I just leapt and fixed Gary's internet. Well, mate, you need to leap again. Leap again and fix it. Um, so where am I on my notes? So the gang realizes that Ben is who he says he is, and that Martinez is that Magic is not who he says he is, and that Martinez is inside him. So Addison does confront Magic as Martinez,
Mhm.
and Ben tries to stop Martinez, and Addison gets shot in the process, but she only gets shot in the arm. And as we all know, if you get shot in the arm in Hollywood, that's a flesh wound. I mean, in real life, you might lose. In real life, you might lose your fucking arm, but in Hollywood, it's just a
Oof.
flesh wound. I mean, even though she should be losing lots of blood and shit like that, she was still hanging around like nothing could go whining. Anyways, Ben and Martinez, their fight leads them into the quantum leap accelerator, and they end up time traveling again. Aaron, do you think that was Sam? Well, yeah, I'm going to get to that. Aaron, Grace, thank you for joining. I'm definitely going to get to that at the end of our
Yeah, we're gonna
play by
get to
play,
that.
we have one of three things, in my opinion, it could be. But we then see Ben and Martinez fighting all over time, and I like what they did here because they were only fighting in places both of them were at. So we saw them both at that mental asylum. We saw them both on the warship. We saw them both in the Wild West, and that's where they were fighting. And this is at the same time now. At the very same time, all of this is happening. Past Ian from 2018, he finds the book that Ben wrote down, the code which future Ian gave to him. And when he looks at this code, he mentions how it looks like a cheat code from a video game, which present day Ian ended up picking that note up from, and then kind of realized that with this particular, this cheat code from a video game was for a game that was impossible to beat unless you had somebody to help you.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where somehow this is where you had past, present, and future Ian all syncing up together somehow. I don't know how this is a bit, because watching this a second time, I personally could not understand how they're able to sync up together and punch in the code at the same fucking time. Yeah,
because the present one knew when the past one was going to do stuff. That's why.
Because I genuinely thought that Ian was going to somehow jump in the quantum leap accelerator, go back to the Wild West, and save Sam. Sorry, not Sam. Save Ben from being killed.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I thought the lady who ended up killing Martinez was going to be Ian, but no, that was still the regular person from that time period who. Yeah, I'm going to get to that as well, Aaron. For sure, we're going to be talking about season 2 in a second.
I disagree a lot with what Vance is putting here. I didn't because I don't think it's bad writing, because I think I think it's pretty decent writing, because the thing is that the new one that we have is thinking about it too literally, whereas the one from the past is thinking about it more like a young person was. Is thinking about it more on some. So it's talking about how, even though you could be wise with age, you can still lose some of the nuance of language sometimes as you grow up. So I think there is actually better writing than you're giving it credit for. That's just my opinion.
Look, what I'm just trying to say is that past Ian tried to punch in the code, it didn't work. Present day Ian tried to punch in the code, it didn't work. But in a way, like they're in different timelines. It doesn't matter when past and present day and future Ian, like it's such a mind fuck. It really is. I mean, like, fair enough. All right, fine. So Ian is some sort of fucking time lord. Fair enough. All right. But he's able to make this code work, and somehow by doing so, Ben is able to leap again. But this is just after Martinez has fortunately been killed by some not even secondary character in the fucking Wild West that I totally forgot even existed. Fair enough. I'll give that a pass as well. Before we continue, let's just read some of the comments. The time should have changed for the current quantum leap timeline when Ben and Martinez left together. The bad date timeline should have become the team's past. Bad writing. Fair enough. So future Ian designed a cheat code that past Ian would understand and present Ian wouldn't. We are one. Such bad.
I disagree with that. Yeah. I disagree with that, folks.
Yeah, and this is a good comment here, because Al, as we all know, unfortunately, Dean Stockwell has passed away, but they were mentioning Al's name on a few occasions because he was apparently still alive in 2018. As far as I had no idea, when the hell did Dean Stockwell die?
2021, let's find out. I think.
I'm just going to quickly Google it. Hey Google, when did Dean Stockwell die? 2021.
Yeah.
This is a good comment here. November the 7th, 2021. Okay. All right. So let's just get back onto the thing. So yeah, recording out. they were trying to explain how one is connected. Yeah, they were trying to explain. I'll say that they were definitely trying. Um,
Um, I mean, because well, the thing is that the way that I said it is that they both like knew they can because the present one knew that the past one was going to enter it because of their connection to the timeline. So they did it together as like boom, it worked.
it kind of sounded really good on paper, but the reality of it was a bit weird that we are one and all of this shit and this Zen bollocks and the fact that future Ian thought this bullshit would work. But all right, fair enough. Let's just go with it. So because of this, Ben is able to leap again, and this time Ben goes back to the beginning of 2018 again because there was one thing bothering me a lot is that not only did Martinez and Ben enter the accelerator again, but Martinez entered the accelerator as Magic. So Magic is also gone. But by going back again to 2018, they reset all of that. So Magic never leapt in the first place, even though he did in the bod with Martinez honing him because Martinez is now dead.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's oh god, it's all mind fuck. Nevertheless, um, Ben is wondering, if what happened has made has changed anything significant. He sees hologram Addison, but hologram Addison's taking the piss by pretending she doesn't know who Ben is. She obviously does. And then he asks his permission if he could just change the timeline a little bit regarding them two. And because of all the, like Ben started off as a geeky nerd, probably not the most confident guy in the world, but going going through several leaps and being all these different people and being in all these different scenarios has filled him full of confidence. And he just walks in there like a motherfucking don, grabs Addison's fine ass and lays the smack down right on her lips and says, "Here you go, love. Casanova time, baby," and makes out with her in front of everyone, not giving a shit. Fucking awesome. I
Yeah, and he
don't know
shows the
what.
character. He shows the character development of Ben throughout the series, like because he started off as this sort of like unsure of himself, kicking in, but because of the things he's been through, he's kind of more sure of himself. He's like going, "Yo, and I like
That is a brilliant comment. But now I, Ben's reasonings to go back to 2018, like again, to make him leap again, was not really explained, other than him accelerating his relationship with Addison. Anyway, there's a couple of comments here I want to read out. Crypto says, in my opinion, they did explain it actually 3 times. Ben talking about the quantum entanglement, then Addison explained, and Ian connected with himself in 3 different. Yeah. I get you. I get you. It just I don't know. It just it sounds good on paper, and it's interesting how they explained it, but it still seemed a bit weird because theoretically, regardless of the timeline, they are, regardless of different. I just don't want to go there. I'm breaking my own brain talking about
that."
this. So Ben kisses Addison on the day of their first day after having said previously that she wasn't in love with him yet. No, but she
Did
wasn't
I
in
also
love with him.
disagree?
It's not about being in love. It's just about being attracted to him. She was attracted to him, and he just like, yeah, I'm gonna sweep this girl off her feet. You know what I mean? So I've done that once, by the way. I know I've done it. I tried to do it a couple of times, and I'll be honest with you. Once it worked out really well. It worked out really well. I just went right in. No, actually, I think it happened twice. I just went right in there and just started making out with her, and yeah, it worked. It worked a fucking dream.
In
Um,
Zamario, the love guru here.
Yeah, but that was when I was a lot younger, but nevertheless. So Ben leaps, and now everyone at Quantum Leap headquarters is believing that Ben is coming back. And we get to the Quantum Leap accelerator, and nothing. Like we don't get a
No,
response
but
now. Look, there's one of
we get Addison's reaction. That's what we get.
we kind of, but we don't. Even that doesn't really explain everything. But look, there's one of 3 things that could have happened. And the first thing is Ben comes back. No, definitely not. That's not Ben, in my opinion. Second thing is the person Ben is still leapt into somebody else, and he's still leaping. So you know how it is when you leap into somebody, that person ends up in the quantum leap accelerator. Ben's body's still there, but the person who's inhabiting Ben, sorry, the person Ben's inhabiting is inhabiting Ben's body in the present. So Ben, it might look like Ben's coming back, but he's just inhabited by the person Ben's inhabiting. So that could be the case, or it's Sam Beckett, and this is the response to Aaron Grace, by the way. No, sorry, not this one here. He mentioned earlier. Who do you think was you think Sam would be Sam Beckett at the end of the episode? So I think it could be either Sam Beckett, it could be either the person Ben's inhabiting, or it's Ben. It's one of those three things, in my opinion. I don't think there is a fourth. So we'll see what happens. But I genuinely don't believe Ben is back because I'll tell you why. There is a season 2 fucking trailer that we're going to watch in a second. So don't watch Dark Boss Laugh Out Loud. Your head will explode. Mate, when it comes to head exploding, there's only one film I like to watch. Ben leapt into...
No, Dark Boss is a series. It's fucked up.
Ben leapt into 2018 after because Ian entered the cheat code, which was made to continue to use it until they got rid of Martinez. Oh, okay. I'm glad you explained that to me.
I'm very happy you explained that. I was going to say, Sam, do not watch the David Lynch film if this made your head explode.
Time travel can do that, unfortunately. I choose to believe they nuked just then. Well, yeah, I mean, we can always hope, but fair enough. So before we mark and give our opinions on this episode, after giving our opinions on this episode, I'm gonna have a quick treat for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's a quick treat. Hopefully, we'll get away with this, and we don't get fucking banned or whatever.
No, as long as we talk COVID, it's fine. Because it's fair use.
Let's share. Okay, so this, my lovely jubblies, is the season 2 trailer of Quantum Leap. Let's check it out. It's only 15 seconds. So there's a lot packed in these 15 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
This can't be happening. I was supposed to leave home.
What is going on?
Everything's changed.
I can't protect him.
Nice.
This fall. That's all we got. That's all we got, my lovelies. That's all we got. Like I said in my post, it was done that way in case the second season wasn't picked up. They wanted folks to speculate it was Sam or not. I think it's nobody. Addison is just looking into thin air.
But it just looks person.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the actress who played Addison is not the best in the world, by the way. When she's trying to do grief and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, when she's all right being quirky and funny and all that, but when she does the grief and she's doing sadness, her acting is terrible. But yeah, I guess it was a clever way to end the episode in the fact that he's coming back. I'm happy that this show has been extended because Quantum Leap gets a lot of crap from a lot of people. A lot of people saying it's not as good as the original series. I think it's pretty good. I mean, I don't even want to compare it to the original series. There's a place for the original series, and this has got a place as well. And I like the fact that the heart of the original series is still here with a time traveler who gives a damn. And I like that they've changed things up by having a present day storyline as well. And they've done a really good job to somehow have a connective tissue that keeps us engaged with the present day storyline for 18 episodes. Now, I don't know what they're able to do to keep a present day storyline for season 2, and if they do a season 3 or whatever, if they do 5 seasons like the way the original series done, then I don't know how they're going to keep doing an original day storyline. Is I'll give them credit for them trying. I do want to see Sam Beckett come back in some capacity. I don't want him to take over. I don't want it to be about him. I want it strictly to be cameo and maybe to a degree resolving Sam Beckett. They could do that with season 2 with the search for Sam Beckett, and all of that. That could be the way of doing it.
Yeah, because that could have been something that, like, basically the reason that he didn't come back was because, as well as that, he agreed to, because him saving the thing in the pens was Janice wanted him to go and say go and get Sam, which is perfectly fine. Makes sense.
Yeah, like I said in my post, it was done. Yeah, sorry, I think I already read that. My bad. I think the best thing about it is how they paid their dues in the original, in the OG, as original series, isn't it? Always mentioning it and not just making it about the new project. If they don't mention OG again, as much as cool. Well, I think people genuinely want resolution with Sam Beckett. I personally was fine with what happened at the end of the original series. I always said that Sam Beckett realized he was doing good. When he was told by that bartender whose name was Al that he had what he did in this, what he was doing, the lives he changed, the people he helped, the ripple effect that it caused. It meant that he never, that when you see him leap at the end of that episode, and then you see the title saying that Sam Beckett never returned home, he chose not to return home because he was told by that Al character that he could have gone home whenever he wanted to, but he chose not to return home because he realized that he was saving people's lives and he was making a difference, which made Sam a hero, a proper hero. But he gave up his life to help others. Let's see what else do we have here. So since season 1, since season 1, did they pay their honors? What did you mean? What do you mean by that, mate? I'm sorry, I'm a bit.
They paid tribute to the Red Run.
Did they? This season 1 paid their.
No. They paid tribute to the original series. I think that's what critical. So
oh yeah. I mean, the character of Magic is somebody that Sam had leapt into in the original series. I remember that episode when he was talking about it.
I remember saying that on like Sam Beckett's daughter. I don't know. I don't know if Sam had a daughter. No, he had a wife. I don't remember that bit.
Yeah. If he has a daughter, that would be pretty cool. Somebody, I mean, they could always mention that, but yeah, like maybe she was conceived in that one episode where Sam and him and Al swap places. Remember that episode? And Sam actually ends up back, and he's really happy now. And then like Al's the one jumping, and he ends up swapping places back with Al again. Sam chose to never return home to his wife. Bad husband. Yeah, but he gave up. He did what was best for the greater good.
Sammy Jo was Sam's daughter from Leap. Really, I don't remember that Leap.
Yeah, mate. I haven't watched Quantum Leap in close to 30 years. it's being that way, isn't it?
Yeah. So let's should we give like our scores for this episode and our scores for the series in general?
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna give this episode. For me, this episode needs to be watched twice, and sometimes that's not. I don't necessarily like saying that about things. Sometimes you can appreciate an episode by watching it twice, but sometimes you shouldn't have to do that. You should be able to watch it once and understand it.
Mm-hmm.
It's really weird. I'm very swings and roundabout on watching an episode twice. I didn't like this episode when I watched it the first time round. I very much liked this episode when I watched it the second time round, and I'm going to give this episode a pass because I very much like this series. So for this episode, I'm going to give it. It was quite a cool episode with the time traveling shenanigans and the setting of being at 5 years, 4 years prior to the first jump and all of that in Quantum Leap headquarters. It was a very good, very clever finale. I'm going to give it 8 out of 10. What about you, Gary?
I'm going to give it a very solid 9. Vance has given it a 2. I think you're wrong about that, Vance. I thought it was a better episode than you give
Vance
credit
has
for.
given it a fucking 2.
Yeah, I mean, Vance, you and me will have to have a talk because I think this was a really well written episode. Because the thing is, to deal with what's the word, quantum flux and stuff like that is very hard to manage, especially put on screen. I thought they did it very well.
Now thinking about it, it's like they're saying Sam doesn't exist since Martinez went after Ben to stop the Quantum Leap project to continue. Well, it depends really. I mean, like I said, they do talk about Sam quite a lot, and they do mention him. Even Magic mentioned him. I mean, unless you're talking about from this episode onwards, then somehow Sam's been erased. I hope not. I mean, that would be an injustice. The last episode was such a poorly written episode. 2 out of 10. Like I said, Daniel Vance, watch it again. Watch it again, and I guarantee you'll be a true believer, a real rock and roller. You'll love it. You'll love it more than life itself. I swear it once. Standing up, laugh out loud. Fair enough, mate.
Al's daughter becomes a new. I would like that. I like the dynamic between Addison and Ben. Their relationship is kind of cute. It's like it kind of grew on me because I don't think the actress who plays Addison is as bad as you think she is, but I think that their dynamic is great.
I would still want to keep Caitlin Bennett. I think her name is the person who plays Addison in that role, and because I wouldn't want to see a recast because of my personal opinions. I still want to keep that. I'm not the biggest fan of recasting personally, but I do like the dynamic of lovers being this close, not even that close, but this close, and still not being able to fucking touch each other. So I was really happy that Ben made out with Addison when he had the opportunity to just had that one moment of lust with her before he leapt. So I was very happy about that.
Yeah, and plus it was good to see a different side of him because the thing is that he's been so kind of like having to be so emotionless with everything he's doing. It's good to see him very emotional doing that, and plus it was good to see Jem being emotional. It's good to see everyone being emotional. I mean, overall I thought it was a really good end to the episode. So. Should we score the entire series?
Yeah.
Should we do that?
Yeah, we will do after I read this comment. I give it Crypto gives it an 8 just because I think they left out when Ian told Ben to leap. Would have been nice to see. It would have been nice to see. Yeah, fair enough. I get you. By the way, Aaron, I want your rating here. As for the series, okay, so we're gonna give our verdicts in a second, but I think Daniel wants to give in his ranking. As for the series ranking, for me, it all hinged on the final episode, and they blew it.
Oh, fans, come on,
watchable,
come on!
But an overall letdown.
They did the Terminator.
No, you can't shit on the entire. Look, I mean, you can if you want to personally, but I'm saying you can't shit on the entire series on the one final episode.
Did Ziggy Steiner and
yeah, exactly. The homage to Terminator was really well done without it being too much in your face. You just have to notice a few things here and there, and yeah, I mean, looking back at the series, I would say the evil Ziggy. I'm not sure how I felt like that because apparently Ziggy was evil. And we see the lighting of Ziggy turn red and all of that. They never really paid that off, to be honest.
No, I mean, maybe Ziggy turns into whatever the name of the evil robot AI is in the Evil Looper series. I can't remember what that.
Yeah, but they still never really paid it off, and in a way, like Ziggy was
Maybe that's
shut
the reason he
down.
doesn't come home.
No, but Ziggy was shut down last episode, and they were going about their business like Ziggy was never shut down in this episode. And we're talking about the present day, that is. Maybe that's why he doesn't come home as well, because Ziggy's shut down, which would be a good reason in to a degree.
2,
Daniel
3, 5,
Vance
5, 5.
is
Bloody hell!
2, 3. Oh my god, he's done the entire season. Okay.
It looks
all
like
right.
a telephone number.
So Gary, what are you gonna? I'm gonna ask you. But I gave my episode ranking first. I'm gonna ask you first for the season ranking. What are you gonna give it?
Out of 10, because I came in with such a negative attitude that it will be over. I'm going to give it a solid 8.
You're gonna give it a solid 8. Okay, I'm gonna give my ranking a second. As a first season series, I think Fringe had the best first season. I think this could be top 10 of my list of series. Still not great, but it had me hooked to come back, and I don't hate watch it. Aaron Craze has given the episode of the season. He's given the season a 10. Okay. I also will give it a big fat 10 for the season, because everyone was shitting on this. Everyone was severely, including you, and even including me to a degree, a little bit. But because I love the original series so much, I thought my curiosity couldn't. I couldn't help myself. I just had to watch it for the sake of curiosity, and I loved it. I genuinely loved it. I thought it was really good. I like the way that they when I was watching it, I realized, oh my god, this is not a reboot. This is a sequel. This is a sequel to the original series. So, they can go back, and then as each episode developed, and we came across certain things, like when we saw Leaper X Martinez leap out of that guy's body. That was the first time we discovered that, when we spoke after Magic and Jennifer, when they were talking about Magic's experience of being leapt into. After there was so much more revelations. I mean, they really gave us extra layers into Quantum Leap. Whatever we saw in the original series was only mainly about Sam Beckett just trying to leap from one place to another. This really expanded on that, and they did it in 45 minutes per episode, and they kept you engaged. Made great pacing. You had a protagonist that cared, an interesting antagonist who I would like to have seen a couple more times in Martinez, but that was really cool as well. You had the present day storylines as well, which somehow didn't drag. But I think there was only maybe one episode in this entire season that I really didn't like, and I can't remember which one that was, to tell you the truth. But I do believe there was one episode that didn't work for me. Other than that, I think the whole season was pretty good, and I'm so happy that this show is being renewed. I really am. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I like all the characters. I like Ian. I like Magic. I like Jennifer. I like Janice. I like Addison. I like Ben. Ben is a great protagonist. I really like Ben's song a lot, and he's just so endearing. They all are. They really are. It's a great show. I can't. I have this show for me shouldn't be as good as it is, and it's far exceeded my expectations. So it gets a 10. It gets a solid fucking 10. I have to watch the original. I don't remember one complete episode. Oh, I do.
I do as well. I remember them ripping off. I remember them ripping off Dry Miss Daisy. I remember them.
Yeah.
I remember them having Sylvester Stallone in one episode. I mean, that's playing Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah. I remember that episode because he was boxing, and he just happened to give the idea about hitting meat to this one kid who happened to be somebody who was just boxing himself, but he happened to be a young Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, Stallone was okay.
Yeah. the series and the lore kept me watching. Felt like they didn't know how to get from A to B. Babylon 5 has ruined what I expected from time travel shenanigans. I never got into Babylon 5
I did.
personally. I mean, there's just too many bloody shows, even for me back then. But yeah, great stuff. Really great stuff. We've already seen a clip of season 2. Can't wait for that. Electric Books, Quantum Leap season 2, Electric Boogaloo, baby. It's gonna be so. I'm really happy this is going, and I don't want this show like this show gets a 5.8, 5.8 on Rotten Tomatoes. That's a joke. It's a joke. I think that for a start, I think there's a lot of people who have issues with the diverse cast because there's no leading white male in any capacity. There's more women. There's more majority. I think there's a transgender character as well. I think people have an issue with all of these things, and that's why they hate on it.
God. Right. I don't know if you saw like online. Do you remember when they did the trans episode? The turf part of the internet went flaming mental.
Of course they did because they're prejudiced. Yeah, because their personal prejudice.
How dare they have a plus a trans woman playing sports? They really lost their shit.
I mean, trans people have been around. Santina Marella, the wrestler.
Yeah.
You remember that episode when he played Santina Marella or whatever?
Yeah,
he was dressed in drag and stuff like that. I mean, like it was. This is during the PG era of wrestling, as well. Like seriously, like people are making out like
people just need to grow up. That's what it is.
Yeah, like men dressing up in drag or transgender is a new phenomenon. It's been around for a long fucking time. You even watched the A-Team?
Yes.
The amount of time with George Peppard, Hannibal fucking Smith, the leader of the fucking badasses, dressed up as a woman in disguise. You know what I mean? It was incredible, like there's movies like Mrs. Doubtfire. In the movie Total Recall, Schwarzenegger dressed up as a woman. Fucks that. Schwarzenegger dressed up as a woman as a pregnant man in Goddamn Junior.
I remember that now.
Yeah,
that's always still like got nightmare fuel in it. But the thing is that the TERFs just went like mental when they finally saw like an actual trans woman, a trans actress playing sports. It's like, oh, how dare they? They're forcing their agenda upon us. It's like, fuck you. Sorry. So look
straight off the bat. These people who hate on trans, because we've seen it from people like Alex Jones, and we've seen it from like that white supremacist and Nick Fuentes. They have been caught with trans porn on their devices because you saw it with Alex Jones, you saw it with Nick Fuentes. When they were exposing certain things on their personal devices, there were tabs linking to trans porn sites. So these motherfuckers, the ones who hate on trans people, they're the ones also jerking off to fucking trans porn when they're by themselves.
And if you're a woman, you're rushing your pussy to it. Sorry.
Yeah. If you want a good time travel paradox movie, check out
that's good.
Presentation with Ethan Hawke and Sarah Snook. You'll love it.
No. I mean, if you want a good time travel paradox movie, watch Flaming 12 Monkeys.
12 Monkeys is is a time travel film that it basically explains my version of what I think time travel is. Time travel is something that is always meant to be. Like, you can't change time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, which is what 12 Monkeys was about, which is why you saw young Bruce Willis see his future self being killed, because eventually he was destined to repeat that same thing. It was just a loop. You can't. It's only one timeline, and you can't change it. The series is apparently you know about this as well. Presentation is a classic. I'm yet to see the Butterfly Effect. I really want to see that. I haven't seen that.
Predestination is better than the Butterfly Effect. As I say, it's probably the top. I probably say it's the top 5 time travel movies. It's probably that, Time Tracks, 12 Monkeys.
12 Monkeys. No mention of Back to the Future here by anybody, but fair enough. Back to the Future 2 was a good one of it.
Back to the Future has a lot of like flaws in it that I don't want to start getting into.
But at least with Back to the Future 2, there was like they did a fair bit of time traveling in that one. I think they time traveled to the future, then they went back to alternative 1985, and then they went back to 1955. So they did a bit of time traveling in that, which I didn't mind, and that showed you what would happen if you fuck with time too much. Series, Doctor Who, Fringe, and 12 Monkeys. Yeah, there are there's so many there's so many time travel films. There's a Time Machine as well, which the H.G. Wells Time Machine, um, the one with Guy Pearce?
This guy picture.
Yeah, but the original as well from the '60s as well. But Dark is another good series, weird series like Dark is Shining Girls.
Yes, so
Okay.
so this is. I don't think there's anything coming out on Tuesdays coming up. That as far as I know. So this is going to be our last Tuesday for a little while, unless we like do fan films or anything like that. So,
Yeah, I don't know what's gonna. Well, I mean, yeah, it usually is a show that comes out on Monday that we do on Tuesdays. So Quantum Leap was coming out on Mondays, and yeah, we did it on Tuesdays. But
okay.
I don't know what's. I mean, I don't know what's coming out next Monday or in future Mondays. But
Right.
yeah,
So if I'm feeling energetic and I'm feeling up to it, if I'm not too tired for my job, and I'm feeling like it, I might start doing on a Tuesday. I might start after I get home from gym. I might start doing Raw reviews again. But
fair
it depends
enough.
how bad it,
Fair
it
enough.
depends how bad it gets. If
Well,
it gets really bad,
unfortunately,
I'm not.
you caught it at the wrong time, but it looks like Vince McMahon is back at the
For
helm
sake.
again. And so, if that's the case, it looks like it's going to be a suicide watch for you, boss man, for sure. I've actually, and this is a show I do recommend because I don't know who are Americans in our chat, but Ted Lasso is one of those great shows. It is
I haven't seen it.
so enjoyable. If you like football, or as you guys say in America,
Soccer.
soccer. Yeah, yeah, and this is a great show about fish out of water, culture clash, all of that. It's a really good comedy. I think it's the best comedy on streaming services right now. It's on season 3. The next episode comes out tomorrow, but so does Mandalorian. So I end up doing a recording of Ted Lasso, and I do like that show. It's a good show. It's a shame it doesn't come out earlier. I'll make it fill up the space that Quantum Leap is now left behind. But yeah, tomorrow we'll be doing Mandalorian, and then Thursday we'll be doing Star Trek Picard, and then on Friday we'll be doing our weekly show where we talk about everything, anything from politics to real life to video games to movies to wrestling to anything and everything and anything we'll be talking about. Now, there's 2 things for sure we'll be talking about this Friday. Show you.
Okay.
And the first thing is going to be the WWE, because it looks like Vince McMahon has fully taken over that goddamn sexual assaulting prick with the mustache of a rapist. And the second thing we'll be talking about regarding a rapist, as well as Vince McMahon's best mate, Donald Trump, being indicted and being arrested 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, I said he was never going to be indicted, and he was. Last week, I said he was never going to be arrested, and he was. Now, will he ever go to jail? Well, that won't be resolved for about a year or two, because those court procedures won't happen for a long time. But before there was 100% chance of me never believing him going to jail. Now there's like maybe like 99%, maybe 95% believes that he'll never go to jail. You just never know.
You're being nasty
Gary.
there. Sorry, I was going to do another Trump impression. But yeah.
Oh, I thought that was Marilyn Monroe. Okay, fair enough.
I just still make this public because I think it's going to become common knowledge. My school, my wrestling school, is closing up, and we're drawing with another one. Now, I'm going to see if I can get one of my coaches to do a interview for this show, because it's going to be the King of Insanity, Jack Jester. if I can talk him into it, which hopefully, touch wood, I can if I get to know him better. If I can, I will try and get him to do an interview for this particular channel. So if I do get him to sit down, please send in your questions you want to ask Jack Jester.
Okay.
But
And this is
don't
my
forget, I'm going to
big
have to
fat girl
talk to him.
Juicy.
I'm going to have to talk to him
My big
first and
fat
actually
girl.
get to know him. But if he agrees to do it, I'll happily do it for the channel.
Okie dokie. So before we wrap things up, and by the way, that's this Friday. So the two things we'll be talking about is Vince McMahon and Donald Trump, two of the biggest cunts in the universe. This series in my top three. 12 Monkey mentioned that. Last Mando episode was great. Yeah, I enjoyed the last week's man. A lot of people are not enjoying season 3 as much as I am. I'm loving season 3. You know, I mean, I do
season
think
three's been a bit spotty in my opinion. It's had some really good episodes. I thought the first and third episode were brilliant, but the second episode were as great. I haven't seen the latest one yet.
I do notice that the show is kind of becoming a very family orientated show, which is I understand why people are getting a bit pissed off because, like, I remember in episode 1, like Mando pulled a guy through a door and let it close halfway onto the guy's body and cut the guy's body in half and stuff like that. And we're not really getting those sort of kills at the moment. I mean, in episode 1 of season 2, he left that guy hanging on the street light, shot the light so the monsters of the darkness could eat him. You remember? Yeah,
there's
like
no,
we're not
there's
getting
no
those
that
sort of moments.
there's no that cruelty, and I wish that they would go back to that kind of like,
Yeah,
if you try and kill me, I'm gonna fuck you up or sort of thing. I miss that Mandalorian, to be honest with you.
well, they're focusing a lot now on the Mandalore and the clan. This is the Wayun. Fair enough. Is that something on the Mandalorian? The only thing I'm liking is the short episodes. Well, I mean, like it's weird in a way. Like you give us an hour episode, and then you give us a 25-minute episode. It's like I would like a bit of consistency. That's the good thing about this show we're watching, Quantum Leap. Like every episode was between 40 to 45 minutes. And so even though the final episode was also 42 minutes, and I wasn't disappointed because that's the consistency we've been getting from this series.
Well, somebody said that they should let Star Wars die for a little bit, and I don't know about that. I mean, that me personally, I think they just need to up the quality of the writing. That's all they need to do with that.
Oh, okay. He's taking the gore to The Last of Us. Even that didn't have enough gore, personally. But I wanted to say, actually, I mean, like those moments where Ellie was chopping that guy in the head, and we never really saw it. And there's too much there's too much implied stuff there where we have to imagine that it's happening without necessarily seeing it. Show it to me. I want to see it. I wanted to say I'm not liking. Sorry, fair enough. Well, I guess then I'm in my own little camp. I'm my own little one-man gang. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's what it means to be in the Hellfire Club. You know what I mean? You're part of the minority, and that's not just a skin tone. All right, guys, this has been a lot of fun chatting to you all about not just the Quantum Leap, but going on these tangents about other things. But yes, join us tomorrow at 11:30 p.m. UK, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, and 3:30 p.m. Pacific for our Mandalorian review. And at some point tomorrow, hopefully I'll get out, or maybe tomorrow or Thursday, I'll pull out a Ted Lasso season 3 episode 4 review as well. So yeah, join us for that. And don't forget to like, share. Oh, sorry, you got anything to say, Gary, before I shoot off?
No, right.
Okay, so don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to NerdTube. We are the greatest YouTube channel you never heard of. Take care.